Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Bonnie, and I'm joined by Leah, Katie, and Debbie talking about our one cool first lady. Katie already talked about Michelle Obama, and Leah already talked about Florence Harding. But before we dive in, let's get to know something random about our gal pals. I want to know, do you have a favorite political leader, and bonus points if it's a lady?
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm scoring bonus points, guys.
Do it! Get all the points.
I do. Although I'm going to butcher the name. Because let me be honest, I don't follow politics a bunch. Yeah, I mean...
I already voiced I don't think they work, so it's fine.
Yeah.
No worries.
I try to read the important things. But I have to say, the politician that has caught my attention the most lately has been AOC.
Oh, yeah.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
There you go. Look at you. I'm like, I think you could have just said the AOC, and people would be like, yeah, no, I got you.
But I've just been entranced by her, like, say it like it is.
Yeah.
No nonsense. Ugh, she's so amazing.
There's a great documentary. Oh, and I can't remember. It's something like she runs the house, or she's running the house, or she's going to the house. And it's about 3 different candidates, but one of them is about the AOC.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's really lovely. Because
Yeah.
it's about them just starting. Like, you don't know who's going to make it in. And it's their whole process of going through the ropes. And she's competing with New York big dogs.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That is
it's neat.
awesome. I'd love to learn more about her.
Yeah. You can see her bartending, too.
Nice.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, mine also scoring points.
Damn it. That means I'm the only one that won't. Go ahead.
But I'm showing my age here, but one of my favorite political leaders was Shirley Chisholm.
Oh, nice. There you go. Yes.
Because she was amazing.
Yes,
she was running for president when everybody else was like, okay, you're a woman, you're a black, what?
Right.
But
and it was like the
was
60s or 70s, right 70s, in there? 70s.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, and she was, well, actually, she did it for like 4 or 5 campaigns, so probably both.
Nice.
But she was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And you actually got a book for Gals Guide that's in the library.
Yes.
Donated.
Andre, so everybody can learn about her.
Unbutton, not unbutt.
Unbossed.
Unbought and unbossed.
There it is. Yes. All the uns.
Yeah. And yeah.
Oh, sweet. That is a good one. All right. It's the first answer that popped into my head because I really don't like politics and I like avoid it with a plague, but there is one that I actually have an affinity for.
Justin Trudeau.
No. That's for different reasons. That's for my escape to Canada reasons. That's my Canadian countryman ancestry coming back. Come back to us. Come back to Canada. No, actually, it's Malcolm X.
Oh, yeah.
I was obsessed with Malcolm X. I love Malcolm X. I love him mostly because he was radical, but mostly because he changed his freaking mind. And I think being in a political sphere and saying a lot of hateful things and then, going to Mecca, checking himself before he wrecked himself and going, you know what? I was wrong. And then starting to explain why he was wrong and how he's going to change it. And unfortunately, he was killed because of it. But I find him fascinating of somebody so powerful saying, nope, my bad.
Yeah.
So I love him and I was obsessed with him. So sorry, I didn't get bonus points.
That's okay.
Is there going to be a lightning round? I will make it up another time. What is yours, Bonnie?
I'm not sure if I have one. I've done a little quote piece on Julia Gillard.
Yes.
The first female Prime Minister of Australia.
Beautiful.
Basically being like, I've made it easier for the next woman and the woman after that. And I'm still trying to figure out how their political system works, but it sounds like they pretty much elect a president and a vice president at the same time, and the vice president is like guaranteed to be the next president.
Oh, okay.
So like they knew
like
it
a
was
apprentice
coming.
system. Okay,
Something.
Yeah.
Got it.
So there's her, and she did really good. There's a speech on YouTube of her just chewing this dude out on the parliament floor.
Oh, yes.
She's like, I will not stand for this sexism. Like,
Yes.
it went great.
I will put it in the show notes. That is
Barack
fabulous.
Obama even like commented and was like, good job.
Suck it to him, sister.
But I'm really excited to learn more. I'm trying to figure out where I can like squeeze her in.
Yeah.
I was thinking next month, but it's not Africa because I
Right.
need to know my geography better. But
Geography is hard.
Benazir Bhutto, the prime minister.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that much about her.
Pakistan.
Yeah, true.
She was Malala knew about her growing up.
Right.
So she got assassinated.
Right.
So I'm really
Interesting.
excited to learn. She's
To
been
learn
on
some
my list
I
for
like
a
it.
while.
If you're on Bonnie's list, it's a good list. Unlike my list. I'm just kidding. I don't have a list. So, Bonnie, who is your one cool first lady?
My one cool first lady is, let's see if I can get her whole name, Edith Galt Wilson.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
She's a four-namer.
Yeah. I got most of my stuff from Power and Grace, the story of Miss Woodrow Wilson by Ishbel. It's Ishbel.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
A lady. And
Yes.
it's from the library.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. She was born on October 15th in 1872, which is
Ooh.
also the year that Victoria Woodhull ran for president.
Oh, look at that.
And the year
yeah.
that Susan B. Anthony voted.
Nice. Good year.
Yeah.
For
She
women.
was the 7th of 11 children,
Oh, God.
9 of which survived, and she was the 4th daughter.
Wow.
And like the most crazy fact that I found about her is she is a descendant of Pocahontas.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is,
So-
how did they, do you know how they tracked it? Or is she just like, I'm just going to
Pocahontas
say it so
married
I can
John
bang
Rolfe.
it. That's not a thing.
Pocahontas married John Rolfe. And I'll
Okay.
have to look, but I'm pretty sure she had like 2 sons.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. But their granddaughter, Jane Rolfe, married Colonel Robert Bowling, which is her grandfather. So it's like 3.
So is
up
that
in
even that
direction.
far? Okay. Wow.
Cool.
Yeah,
And
not
I'm
even
like-
that far away. Yeah.
They keep saying that she looked Native American. And I'm like, okay, Pocahontas and John Rolfe, you're already cutting it 50-50.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't
Yes.
know if her kids like married back into it or what, but
Right.
they make comments about how she looked. She had Indian features.
All right. Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Sure.
She was 5'9",
Oh my gosh.
which I'm like, I'm only 5'5".
Right.
People were shorter back then too,
they
so
were.
that's
She's
She was
tall
a
for the
tree.
day.
Yeah. She's from Virginia. She
Okay.
was considered like a Southern lady.
Right.
You know. Her father, William Holcomb Bowling, was a lawyer and a circuit court judge, and had served in the Confederate Army.
Well, Virginia boy. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got tutored by both her father and her grandmother, Archibald Bowling.
Archibald.
Archibald, I did not know that was a lady's name.
Oh, that was a lady's name. Oh, I'm
It's a
sorry.
lady?
It's a Cary Grant name is what it is.
Grandmother, Archibald.
Wow.
She
fancy.
was some form of like disabled or something.
Okay.
So she would just hang out in the house
All right.
and teach her things.
Sweet.
Let's see. She attended Martha Washington College.
There's a Martha Washington College?
In Virginia there was.
Oh.
That makes sense.
At the
Nice.
age of 15.
Okay.
So I think it was more of like a finishing school
Could be.
kind
Right.
of thing. Because then she went to the Powell. Oh, I put Scoop. That's school. The Powell School for Girls.
I
in
went
Richmond.
to Scoop too.
Yeah. The Scoopers.
Scoops.
She owned an electric, I'm going to try to pronounce this right, Brougham?
Sure.
It's like a Model T electric car.
Oh, okay.
Because I just now looked up pictures of it. It's like a Model T, but it's an
Look at
electric.
that. That's a cool looking
she
little
owned
thing.
a few of them throughout her life.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha. So she liked the automobile.
Yeah, she would drive her own car. Scandalous.
The humanity. She was a woman driving.
Maybe her and Alice would race.
I think so. Alice. Oh my
Alice
God.
wrestling.
All right, we'll have to get on a tangent about Alice later.
After a 4-year courtship, she married Norman Galt
Okay.
in 1896. Oh, my autocorrect. He owned a jewelry store. It changed it to Jelly Store.
Oh, a jelly store.
Which sounds more fun.
Yeah. Was his name Welch's?
No.
Or Smuckers?
He owned like a jewelry store, like a
Jelly
business. It was like
Empire.
a
Yes.
yeah. It was like it wasn't just like a store. It was like a corporate
A chain.
thing. Yeah. He died in 1908.
Gotcha.
So they were only married for 8 years. After he died, she ran the business.
Oh, okay.
Like she had another dude that was like there to like sign the official papers and stuff.
Mhm.
But she had a dude help her run it until he died, and then she just like sold it off.
Bitch is just dying all around her.
So she got some experience being a businesswoman.
Nice.
2 years into their marriage, she had a miscarriage, and she was informed that she would not be able to have kids.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
that's why she didn't have kids with him or with Mr. Wilson later.
Gotcha. All right.
Shortly after Wilson's wife died, while he was in office, they got introduced.
Ah.
And I feel like it was just like a couple months later that he met her.
He's like, yeah, sure, that's the first one I'm seeing. This will be great.
He
Oh, no.
proposed,
Yeah.
and she was like, well, maybe after you're out of office. Because he was
Right.
about to run for re-election. She waited for 4 years for the first guy.
Yeah.
So I guess she was in no big hurry. She was like, maybe
Right.
later. No, they got married on December 18th.
Oh.
In 1915, and she wore a black velvet gown and hat.
Ooh.
This lady loved the black velvet. I think every time they were describing her dress, there's some kind of black velvet and orchids. She
Oh.
loved orchids.
Was she the first Morticia Adams?
Maybe.
She goth gal? Because I'm totally down for that.
Right? Okay. So what's interesting is she is the first lady during World War I
Right.
and during the fight for suffrage.
Ah.
So that was my big thing, is I wanted to know what she thought about the suffragists.
Yes.
Because I know that she's like the big, what was it? She was running things.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like definitely doing the Margaret Thatcher thing, where she's maybe not a feminist, but she's doing her own thing anyway.
Right. She doesn't like
Thing.
probably the term of feminist or suffragist, but she's walking the walk.
And
So,
she was
yeah.
there. So that was my big thing, because I've been doing the suffrage research for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was there, but she was also extremely supportive of her husband.
Right.
Like, she was like obsessed with her husband. She was like there to be his nanny
Oh,
all the time.
no.
Because he didn't have real good health
Gotcha.
the whole time.
Was it going around? Was there something in the White
Mm.
House? Because my lady was just after your lady.
Yeah.
Did they
probably
leave
the-
syphilis in the White House?
I don't think kids with syphilis.
Was it on the typewriter?
That almost seems like another sticker. Why are they all about syphilis? I mean, but what was the life expectancy back then anyway? And you're already older when you run
Yeah.
for president, so
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
they didn't. Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
still only like the early 19, it's the 19-teens, 1920s ish. I mean, not horrible, but not great.
Yeah.
You would think older than like 60.
I don't know. I'm
There you go.
gonna Google it.
Exactly. You Google it hard.
I will.
She did receive letters from the suffragists.
Cool.
And she was outraged when they unfurled a banner in Congress during one of Mr. Wilson's speeches.
Oh.
She was not happy about that.
Didn't like the little protest.
I didn't find a direct quote, but the lady said that she thought of them as alligators.
All right.
Oh.
This was a term she kept calling them.
Right. Because they have
were
big teeth.
They were loud, like it was like unladylike.
Oh. That's the worst insult she could come up
They
with.
were like they were loud and obnoxious. Like, I don't think she was like worried about like what they were doing. I think she was bothered by the way they were doing it.
Okay.
And this lady had traveled the world. Like, she had been to Britain.
Where they had
and seen,
major protests.
Like the militant suffragists that are, like, setting things on fire.
Correct.
But no, we're bothered by ladies with banners.
Well, banners.
Guys.
What was the life expectancy?
52 and a half.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're saying these guys are sick and old. That's because
Oh,
they're about to
they're
die
about to
at
die.
52.
They were
yeah.
near their expiration
Yeah.
dates. Yeah.
They
I'm
were.
above average.
Yay!
Yeah,
Thank
but
goodness
this
for modern medicine and the polio
1950
vaccine.
Yeah.
Ooh, 52. Old man. Got it.
But Wilson did speak in favor of suffrage
Sweet.
in September 30th of 1918, but the amendment didn't pass the first time around. It was voted down 53 to 51.
Bitches.
And then
They know who I'm talking about.
those two guys in particular.
Exactly. Looking at them. Delaware
I didn't look
and
to
I don't
see
know what they're.
because I know Rankin was in there around that time.
Yeah, Jeanette Rankin in the
I know she voted no on going to war. I don't know if she was there
for the
in
suffrage
time to
vote.
vote for that. I'll have to look.
Dun dun dun. That's why we have show notes.
The U.S. entered World War I on April 6th, 1917, and ended November 11th, 1918. So while she's there, she helped participate in like the war effort. She would often go around with her little Red Cross apron. I don't think she like nursed any soldiers, but she would just like do stuff like roll bandages or something.
Right. Like kind of like a goodwill ambassador sort of thing. Right.
The White House participated in war effort. Like they would have like each day of the week you didn't do a thing, like homeless Sundays, or they didn't have gasoline, or they didn't go to the grocery. Like the White House participated in that.
Gotcha. The rations day.
Meatless Mondays.
Yeah.
I think that was a different thing. Carb Saturdays.
At one point, and there's a children's book about this that I saw when I was making the First Ladies list for the library. Sheep were allowed on the White House lawn.
Oh.
I guess like a fence broke down or something, but they just like left them there and then they multiplied quickly.
They were like bunnies.
Yes. Some folks were upset. They were like, you're defiling the grounds of the White House.
Aren't they mowing it? Technically? I mean...
Yeah. But eventually they just, they got rid of them eventually, but before that they sheared them and sold the wool for an auction to raise funds for the war effort.
Oh, okay.
They got like $100,000 or something.
Wow.
White House wool.
Yep, that's what they called it.
See, how much do those White House towels go for nowadays?
During the war, as ships were coming out, they were naming them. They were starting to run out of names. She started naming ships, giving them like Native American names.
Ah.
So, and she was like, "Because of my Native American heritage."
Why not?
And they didn't like it at first because they were like, "It's going to be too hard to spell."
Oh my.
Like one of them is America, but with a K instead of a C.
Very confusing.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure.
But Wilson didn't have good health. He first collapsed during a tour of Europe after World War I, and then he continued his tour.
Gotcha.
And it got worse, and he traveled the U.S. until they finally, on October 2nd of 1919, they decided like he needed to go home.
Ah.
So they canceled the rest of the tour and went home, and Edith was very, she's always by her husband's side, helping him with everything.
Maybe not giving him crab meat?
Probably not. I don't think she did.
Yeah, it would be the difference.
So there are rumors that maybe Edith Wilson was the first woman president.
Right.
Because there were months there where he wasn't really doing anything. He had a stroke and half of his body was paralyzed and he never really quite recovered from it. But they were calling her the presidentress, Lady President, first woman president. Iron Queen,
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
the Regent,
Nice.
and Petticoat Government.
Okay, that last one sounds patronizing.
Right?
But I still like it.
There was some issue raised within 3 weeks of his collapse. Edith helped him sign 4 bills. She held his hand while he kind of did the motions.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were like, did he really sign it?
Does it really matter?
Yeah. They were like, does it count?
I like it. If that's what it takes to be a lady president.
Yeah. But she would not let journalists come see him. She wouldn't let members of Congress. They were like they all knew he was unwell.
Yeah.
But they didn't quite. I think they were telling them he had a stomach bug or something.
Right. Food poisoning.
They weren't telling anyone really how bad it was.
So she didn't ever have to weekend at Bernie's this situation?
No.
Okay.
No, they did set it up when someone came to visit him. They purposely lit the room so his stroke side would be in shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he had his documents on the right side with his good right arm.
That's my good
So he
hand.
could flail the documents at the guy when he came to visit.
My non-strokey hands.
Yeah. So they did intentionally set some stuff up.
This is the president of the United States.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Every good president has its puppet mistress.
Exactly. I like it. Petticoat Puppetrist.
Yeah.
It's a sticker.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's behind. There's a little fishing line on his other hand, and she's pulling it.
I don't mind the woman behind the curtain.
I like it.
But he was really he didn't really recover during the next president's inauguration. I guess there's a thing where they walk up the steps together. They had arranged it where the next guy, Harding, was supposed to they were going to go a different route.
Okay.
They were going to go through a hallway and up an elevator to the next floor instead of going up those stairs. But they ended up getting separated, and I think Edith went up the stairs with him,
Right.
and he still went up the.
Well, she was the acting president at the time, so I mean, really,
It's only
Yeah.
fitting.
exactly. It makes sense now. I
But
didn't know if they'd had to silence the lambs him in, where he's sorry, I'm going with all my dead magic.
But the public really didn't know how bad it was until he was no longer president.
Gotcha.
He died February 3rd of 1924. So they were only married 9 years.
He lived a while after his presidency was done, though,
About 4
surprisingly.
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. But I mean,
But
probably
it was
not
still
well.
He was
Probably
in a
not.
wheelchair.
In bed,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Okay, gotcha. With Edith and the
They
fishing line.
had their house that they had after the White House. They had arranged it to where it'd be similar to the White House, so
Aw.
as not to upset him.
Right,
And they
because
had
he
put
didn't know where
in-
he was.
They put in an elevator,
Okay.
and at one point they got a special car
Yeah.
for him. I don't know if it fit the wheelchair in there, but there was something
Right.
special about the
Huh.
door.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, she liked her automobile, so was
Yes.
it for
Yeah.
him or was it for her?
well, he bought her another one of those electric cars sometime after the presidency.
Okay. There you go. For being president and all, without the title, you get a car.
Yeah.
It's a consolation prize. Not too bad. I like me a car.
The same man who married them did his funeral. Just kind of
Sweet.
after his death, she traveled the world again because that's what she did before him. And she worked to get a biography and collection of his papers published. Some other people were publishing stuff, and some of them she didn't like because they were political rivals.
Right.
And she wrote to folks to get his letters back.
Yeah.
Because of the ones that he had sent, they were like, hey, we're putting this collection, send them back. And I think all of them that she requested sent something.
Nice.
Did she ever remarry?
She did not.
Ah.
She was with Mrs. Roosevelt when World War II is declared. So she went through 2 world wars.
Wow.
She published her own memoir in 1939.
Nice.
And she died at 89, a night before she was to dedicate a plaque to a bridge named after her husband, which would have been his 105th birthday.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
And in 1920, a journalist wrote, "Never an ardent suffragist herself, Mrs. Wilson is likely, when the full story of the first months is known, to have proved herself the finest argument for suffrage that any woman by her work has yet offered to the cause."
Ah.
I feel like it's a Margaret Thatcher situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did the work. She just didn't like the title of it and stuff.
Like those alligators.
Yeah. I mean, they were running amok right outside. But, I mean, they were trying to get attention for an important issue. So, yeah.
I know Mr. Wilson had a pretty good relationship with Carrie Chapman Catt.
Okay.
They were always over, and that was like the polite... They weren't the suffragists that were picketing outside the door. She was always having meetings with him. And
they were the ones going through the proper
He was
channels.
like, "I'll look at it later, honey." Like,
Yeah.
he kept just pushing it down the table. He's like, "We got the war. We'll do it later."
Mm-hmm.
So she may have liked her better. She did not like Alice Paul.
Gotcha.
She met Doris Stevens once and did not like her.
I don't know much about Doris Stevens.
She was a lawyer that hung out with Alice Paul.
Gotcha.
She's in the movie The Iron Jawed Angels.
How much of a puppet master do you think she was? How much do you think she was like really running the country for a while?
I don't think she was doing anything. Like, I don't think she would have done anything that wasn't in her husband's wishes.
Gotcha.
Like, I think she knew where he stood on issues, and she definitely would not have done anything that he wouldn't have done.
Gotcha.
I think she was just there. She was just like super supportive in him with everything.
Gotcha.
And he was like adorable back to her.
Aw.
She beat him in golf once.
Yeah.
On their honeymoon, they went to I think it was in Colorado. They took a train, and she beat him and his doctor in golf, and like never let him forget about it.
See, like you do. Brilliant. Yay. Did you guys have any questions about Edith Wilson? Once it gets past the 2 names, I'm a little sketchy.
I'm all for the 4 names.
You do like finding your gals with the 4, 5, 6 names.
Yeah.
One day we will cover royalty and you'll be like, and they are also
First
known
of her
as
name.
Yeah.
this upon this upon this. Sweet. Awesome. Well, if you want to wrap us up.
Well, that wraps it up for us. This week. Don't forget to check out our crowdfunder on galsguide.org to help build the first women's history library in the United States. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool first lady as Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
Sweet. I know. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.